Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Since the postponement of Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker, well, postponement's the wrong word, cancellation, I suppose, because I can't see them fighting now. But, Bacoli has stepped in, as we know. But since then, since that's been announced, we've ended up with a lot of people crawling out of the woodwork and saying that Daniel Dubois bottled it. He's a coward. He was always a coward. Another knee from triple knee. He never fancied the job anyway. Right. Any evidence for this? None. None whatsoever. But of course, conspiracy theorists, as is their wont, don't need evidence. They simply join the dots to create a sort of picture that illustrates their own paranoid fantasy. They're not interested in evidence because, of course, everyone is guilty until proven innocent. Anything out of the ordinary must be a conspiracy, because how else could it happen? Coincidences don't happen, And I've said this before in videos. I've got so much contempt for that type of mentality that I can't even begin to describe it. But yeah, they walk amongst us. But the reason I'm making this video is because here's something I really object to, and that is whenever fighters do get accused of being called cowards. Now, obviously, fighters do quit, okay? And I'm not as hard on them as the casual, the normal sort of person who looks at a boxing match and don't really know what the fuck they're looking at. I do know what I'm looking at when I watch a boxing match, and I also understand. I have some insight, although I was never a professional boxer. I have some insight into understanding what fighters go through in a camp, and the wear and tear on the body, and the fact that most boxers will go into most fights with some sort of minor niggle. People are very rarely 100%. And of course, going into that boxing ring, it's the loneliest place on the planet. Doesn't matter how many people are watching. You're on your own, and my God, yeah, it can be hell on earth. So when I hear boxers being called cowards, or they're scared, or they're this, or they're that, I have to express my contempt, my disdain, I suppose, for people like that who have that mentality. Now, it's one thing to say, well, of course, it's so obvious, isn't it, that, Frank Warren or whoever, Dubois' dad or whoever it was, pulled the plug on this fight. There's nothing wrong with Daniel. They pulled the plug on the fight because they want to match him up with Usyk in the rematch, and this has jeopardized everything. And then when you say something like, okay, what about the colossal purse that Dubois was getting, which is 8 figures, quite well into the 8 figures, or the fact that he spent, probably millions on a camp, or a few million on a camp, or the fact that he's put his body through an entire camp. If there was some sort of skullduggery going on, isn't it far more likely that they would have pulled the plug earlier, or that they would have, created some sort of injury that is more or should we say less damaging to a person's reputation than pulling out of a fight with 48 hours to go? Because it just doesn't add up to me that that would be the best way. What has actually happened would be the best way to swerve Joseph Parker. Then you have the issue of, well, Daniel Dubois, despite the fact he quit against Usyk, he came back with 3 excellent wins. He's got tremendous momentum. His confidence is through the roof, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Why would he pull out with 48 hours to go? These questions are ignored by the moronic, childish, infantile, rather self-serving and somewhat egotistical conspiracy theorist mentality in favour of something more fantastic, because nothing could be greater than the fantastic theory. And we see this with far more important issues in a boxing match. We see it in politics. We see it with major historical events that have happened. But I'm basically saying that it's bullshit. All right, it's all bullshit. All right. Unless you've got some evidence, I'm not fucking interested in any of that crap. But when you consider Dubois, when you consider Dubois' reputation, it's taken a hit, whichever way, whether you have a sensible view about it or not. It's taken a bad hit. But what I do object to is when people call fighters cowards. And like I was saying a moment ago, you go through all that trauma, all that money preparing, and then suddenly you call it off at the 11th hour. It doesn't make the remotest sense to me. Now, as far as the replacement goes, which is Bacoli, I made a video yesterday saying that, Bacoli and actually Parker a lot of this falls on Parker's shoulders as well. To carry on to do that is to step in at with literally 48 hours to go, and to fight someone who's has had a full camp is all credit to Bacoli, but all credit to Parker as well. Tremendous credit to Parker for taking on a guy who we don't even know whether he's in fighting fit or whether he's in even physical shape at the moment. But credit to them both for taking this fight forward. But there again, I think the people that cast shade on Dubois probably wouldn't even appreciate the reality of what's happened with Bacoli's mentality and with Parker's mentality. Why do I say that? It's because people who say that Dubois was a coward or that he bottled it or they have these idiotic theories, they're normally the people. This is the important point here. They're normally people who've never seen any violence whatsoever in the flesh, so to speak. They are, for the most part, fantasists who live vicariously through boxers or other combat sports, men and women's endeavours. They've never had so much as a little, 90-second roll around on the cobbles. They've never, just looking at my phone there, they've never been in a boxing ring, certainly. They've probably never even had a little slapping match, a little shoving match on the street. Never mind being anywhere near a boxing ring. Never mind fought in front of a paying crowd, okay? And yet there they are, casting shade on these guys who literally do risk their lives. We had a fighter pass away only a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. They piss me off. All this bullshit pisses me off. Now, as far as rescheduling Parker versus Dubois is concerned, I'm not convinced that will happen. It is possible. I don't know what the contracts are, but I think it's actually possible that Dubois will, once he's fit again, go after Usyk, or they'll try to cut a deal with Usyk for all the belts. But of course, let's not forget that the IBF are very strict about their mandatories, and they might actually say, no, Parker, we want Parker as your mandatory contender, and we want it done within 90 days or whatever the rule is. Now, Parker, I believe that the fight with Bacoli is not going to be for the IBF interim belt, not that we need one. It's going to be for the WBO interim belt. So it's possible that if Parker was to beat Bacoli or vice versa, the winner will go on to look for Usyk to try and, go down that WBO route, Usyk being the holder of the real WBO belt. But that might free up the Dubois from a mandatory and then leave the path clear to go fight Usyk. Okay, so there's that. That is a theory, not a conspiracy theory, a theory that is feasible. Why? Because it's based on logic and reason. And if you think I'm missing something out, please leave your comments below. But I don't think that's a foregone conclusion. I'm not saying it will happen. Let me repeat for the people that really don't deliberately don't hear things. All right, I'm not saying that is the case. I'm saying that is a theory. Okay, theory. And I'm not saying, absolutely, I repeat, I am not saying that because of that theory, Dubois swerved Parker. again, I repeat, for the very hard of hearing, or for just the plain dumb, okay, if there was some sort of skullduggery going on, Dubois would have been pulled out. In my opinion, it would make more sense to pull him out earlier, okay, and to give Parker more of a chance to find a replacement. As it happens, he's landed on his feet in one sense. But it would have made a lot more sense because you would have spent less money on your camp. You know, there would have been less what you might call collateral damage. There would have been less damage, public perception-wise, to Dubois' reputation. And there would have been just a lot less, you know, I mean, they would have spent money on the promotion. We know about it. You want to keep, if you're sucking on this Riyadh teat, you want to keep in with the excellent turkey. You want to do the right thing. You want to behave in a respectful manner and a decent manner. So I don't think that they would have done it this way. I think it's feasible that the scenario I just described a moment ago could happen, but I am not suggesting that Dubois pulled out because he really wants to fight Usyk, and suddenly at the 11th hour thought, oh, how can I do this? Or his old man thought it, or Frank Warren thought it, or it's all nonsense. All that stuff's nonsense. I'm not suggesting that at all. And I'm absolutely, under no circumstances, am I suggesting that Daniel Dubois is anything other than a fighting man. If he hasn't turned it round with victories over that fat slob Miller, blowing AJ out the water, and also beating the previously undefeated Filip Hrgovic, if he hasn't turned it round in your mind, as far as his having a fighting heart, a good fighting heart, wanting to be a real fighter is concerned, then you literally have no knowledge of boxing. You don't know what you're fucking looking at. All right. So I just had to do this video because it really pisses me off when I read bullshit. And yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Comments below. Hit the like button if you like the video. Hit the dislike button if you didn't like it. Either. And yeah, it's a crazy week, isn't it? It was crazy yesterday, but you know what? I still think this Saturday card is going to be fantastic. And yeah, I'll be watching it. Using other means, of course. No pay-per-views for Joe Stunner. But, you know, anyway, like I say, I'll hear from you soon. Comments below. I'll give them a read. Thank you very much. And bye for now.